Geek Sundry would like to issue a formal apology to the nation of Sweden. Find out why on Sagas of Sundry Question Answers. Hi folks, I'm Dan Casey, and today we're going to talk about the latest episode of Goblin Mode, and we absolutely went Goblin Mode on this one. But before we get into it, please allow me to introduce my cast.
Danielle Radford.
Amy Vorpahl.
Nguyen.
All right, folks, before we go any further, as you've probably gathered if you've listened to a single episode of Question Answers before, there's going to be spoilers ahead. So if you haven't listened to the latest Goblin Mode yet in any way, shape, or fashion, please, just stop doing this to me. I don't want to have to issue this same warning every time, but I must, because if you venture any further, there'll be spoilers. All right, that's enough warning. Let's get into it. This was a Bazoinkers episode.
Yeah.
The Goblin Games in full effect with so many Goblin names in full effect.
The Goblin Games was the Goblin names, let's be real.
Yes, I had no idea that was going to become, that was fun for me, but I did not know that was going to become.
Very fun for us.
Yeah, it was good for me. It was good for me. Was it good for y'all?
Oh gosh, yeah, full on making me cry, laugh, saying these out loud. I don't know what to tell you.
We came strong out the gate with Doug Zug Glizzy.
Doug Zug Glizzy.
Yeah,
The Goblin referee who is caught Fibs tampering with the maypole.
But I learned, y'all told me that what a glizzy was right before we started shooting, and I was like, well, that sounds right on brand, knowing what I know about
Yeah,
Goblin
you're like, Glizzy,
names.
that's a Goblin thing.
That
for
is
sure.
a Goblin name. And then you just started demanding all of them, and I was making them up on the spot.
We had plenty. We had Erky Pludgunk, Krunger Munchstrom,
Yeah, don't forget Snargle Sludge Paw and Blip Slime Grin.
Blinks Mudmire,
Yunk Jagger. Can't forget Yunk Jagger.
Jagger,
Young Jagger.
inspired.
Yes.
Numby Gumtrunk, R.I.P. King.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Was it a Nanging York? Yort?
Or Rart
Nagnug Yort.
Nagnug Yort.
Nagnug Yort.
Rart Huffmamp.
Munja Bumfra.
Clack Crustmonk,
I think, what was it?
Nagaflab,
Lurt Nagaflab.
I think special shout out to Chunkstifer Sinclair. He just seems like a special.
Yes, I did.
He seems like very
I
special.
did
Very
offload Spizzy Bubblebutt, Skip Scap, Scollywop, Droolington III, the longest goblin name, easily, and Chunkstifer Sinclair. I offloaded those to you, and I'm very grateful for it.
But I would say, Amy, you still gave us the greatest gift of all in the form of Nerg Herfladurg.
Nerg Herfladurg. I just felt such like I needed to protect Nerg for no reason at all. I just think a Swedish goblin doesn't deserve any sort of pain.
It's just,
They're neutral.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. I love it. Yeah, somehow. But I think you didn't actually fall in love with who Nerg Herfladurg really was. I think you subconsciously fell in love with who Busy portrays
Yes.
Nerg.
Yes.
Herfladurg. What are you talking about? We talk normally.
I tried very hard to get away with not doing the accent, and everyone at the table said, "Oh, ma'am, no."
We turned right into, or I sure did, just turned into the Ermagerd meme.
Yes,
The Goosebumps girl?
Goosebumps girl.
Oh my god.
Ermagerd, Gersperms.
Herfladurg does sound like something that would be written in Impact font circa 2011.
Yeah,
Yes.
Herfladurg sounds like a goblin that's at the wrong place at the right time.
Yeah, this cast of characters should be offered as, I don't know, some sort of prize. Just a list of gunk
Just
from my
adopt
brain.
a goblin.
Yeah.
I need to know so I can go to sleep at night tonight. They're alive, right? They're okay.
So my
They're okay,
intention,
right?
yes, after all the death and the hardships in the past episodes, you know, it's D&D, it's fantasy, it's cartoon rules. I wanted this episode to be like no problem.
Right.
No goblins were permanently injured in the making
Except
of this.
for Mudja Bumfra.
Mudja Bumfra is
I
going to be
don't think made
difficult
it.
to put back together, but maybe he'll be a brain in a jar at the very
Mudja Bumfra
least.
will never be the same.
Mudja Bumfra.
Or as his real name means, butterfly who holds the morning.
Damn, should have held harder.
because I want to know what that means was so funny to me.
It was so earnest too.
I was like, we gotta reward that, even if it is just someone's name. But
Yeah, I gotta
that maybe the goblins just have more depth than you ever did think.
Yeah, it last words seem important, and I didn't realize that it was
You thought he was saying something deep. He's shouting his own name like a Pokemon.
yeah, like a Pokemon, exactly.
I just want to hear the thought process. You heard a bunch of gibberish come out of Amy's mouth. You heard Mudja Bumfra, and you're like, must comprehend languages.
Yes.
Gotta cast this, use this spell slot.
I must understand.
It's very bardic.
What does it mean?
Right, so Amy, I want to hear about the design of the 4 elements of the Goblin Games, because I
Yeah.
loved the escalating challenges, culminating in something that felt really tailor-made for us.
Yes, I was reading up. They have some really good lore about goblins. Pretty
Yeah.
reduced and short, but really good goblin lore, and a lot of it is just about how they handle each other, how their tribes are built, and a lot of it is swamps and building. Like, they're good at traps. They just are. Like, that's what they do they're not hefty, hardy creatures. So the way they protect themselves is building traps. And even though you may think it's tailor-made for you, it really is tailor-made for goblins. I just knew that with those piles of materials that you would be able to come up with something cool. The other thing I wanted to say is maybe it was tailor-made for you, but maybe it was tailor-made for Pakara. And there has always been a version of this in my mind where Pakara does win. And in fact, that's like, I'm kind of rooting for her as well. Like, I'm rooting for you guys. I want and Tippy. I want your Tippy's confidence to come back, just the same as the audience does, I'm sure. I just also think Pakara is pretty badass.
Yeah,
I was rooting for Pakara.
If it isn't Tippy, it has to be Pakara.
Right.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
That jag hole.
Which one?
What's his name?
Yeah, what
one?
is his name?
Which
Oh,
one?
sorry. You mean
Well, are you're talking about
Yunk?
Young Jagger.
Young
Jagger?
Jagger.
The
So I have
Jaggle?
so many insane names written down.
You don't mean
here.
Grib Snugglewort, right?
No. I
Okay.
did think
Zipper
for a second I was
Swampspit?
talking about Rart Huffmop
Yeah.
or Nagnug Yort, but in fact it is Yunk Jagger.
So when I'm thinking of these names right off the top, I think the closest word in English that you can get to a goblin name that actually does mean something is a yurt. Which is just like a round tent that hippies use. And so that's where Nagnug Yort came from. Just changed one little letter. It's all about the vowels, really.
Right. It's all about the vowels.
His first name is Gungan backwards, which is fitting for the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace this year.
Yeah, Gagangan just barely skirted by without a goblin name.
Yeah. I gotta say, really proud. This is the first time, as she commented on, that Lufa's gotten to be really active in battle,
absolutely.
and she was so pumped. And as I've heard said, her web really did connect us all. Fantastic work, Loof. Loof, so excited with her little web gun
Her
that
little
she
nat
got.
20.
Yeah, from Uncle Tippy.
Some sweet rolls this time for the first time ever.
Let's
I feel.
start at the end because that's what we're thinking of is the dungeon build.
Yeah.
The dungeon build. I will say, I knew that there were I have a bunch of traps all planned out or things that you could have done, and as it turns out, you don't need many traps when you're a group of level 3 characters with crazy spells and a phase spider. And a homunculus, and an eldritch cannon, and a gun. Y'all are stacked, is what I'm saying.
I just imagine Mudja Bumfra's last moments being kind of like that scene in the first Resident Evil movie where it's like dodging the lasers in the hallway, then it turns into like just a grid and it gets chunked into little bits of meat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so terrifying. That's really scary,
Yeah.
Jan. Yeah,
Anyway,
Mudja
R.I.P.
Bumfra. Mudja Bumfra.
That Mudja Bumfra.
Was he the last one? The last name that we came up
Mudja
with?
Bumfra.
Mudja Bumfra was the
That's
final
the
name.
butterfly
Final
who
name.
holds the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah, I do. It does seem as though like he went through a sieve. Like he definitely went
Yeah.
through like cheesecloth.
Gosh, there's got to be
Yeah.
so that
Now
you
he
know.
hunts the morning with a U.
I mean, season 2 is going to be season 2 Goblin Mode is going to be Mudja Bumfra's story. I think.
Yeah, his
Somewhat-
redemption arc.
Yeah, his redemption arc.
It's a
origin
Jacob's Ladder story. The moments before his death.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's more of an origin story leading up to this moment where he's
I was just like, remember me?
So it's like,
Yep,
yeah, it's
that's
like
me.
He's, yeah,
You're probably wondering how
You probably wouldn't have got here.
exactly.
Record scratch.
Exactly. Like, he's got a family. He's probably young. His parents are probably like, "You're too young to go to the Goblin Games. You can't." He's like, "But I can at least participate." And you know.
Yeah, he's the prequel movie
He
for
snuck
sure.
out and was like, "I'm gonna do this."
Terra Squall.
Yeah.
It was really fun and some new interesting mechanics I've never seen before with having the friends, the what was it, the Bannerman and the Yeller Holler
Yeah.
out from the side, and yeah, it was awesome. It was cool letting you guys control Tippy and
Yeah.
having
fun.
you guys do
Giving you cool
crazy
dance
shit with what Tippy could do. That was fun for me. I
And
love
you
that.
finally got an answer to what that wisdom saving throw was.
I'll be straight up. I thought it was rolling to not have a boner.
So in some ways
was
you're right.
1,000%
In
convinced.
some ways you're right.
And
though.
you were right. I completely forgot that I was a werebird, but how could I forget? Because it came back in such a hilarious way.
It just was like one of those moments that actually did help you out.
Yeah.
Like no one could see it coming.
Well, okay, listen, I don't think I can take the full blame here because I gotta say the tee up was like, and Picard is shaking that big old bubble butt, and you see them cheeks go up and down. I was like, Amy.
I believe the word juicy was used
Yeah, you said
several
juicy.
times.
You definitely said butt cheeks. So I was like, well, I'm just watching the love of my life twerk it out. Roll for boner.
With their special platform from the judge.
Yeah.
Judge sanctioned twerking.
Yeah.
Glom getting moss pronk.
So I was like, what else could it be? And of course, it's not what I thought it. I turned into a bird.
Yeah, well, it is your wisdom saving. It's your trigger. It's your wear swallow trigger, and it is
So-
emotionally based.
So can we say
You're like
now
the Winter
it's
Soldier.
canon that if Tippy gets horned up, he turns into a werebird?
Correct. And it's not just now. That's what I've always decided.
That's what it's
it was.
always been.
Well,
That's-
I mean, your guess.
So-
So your guess is not.
So by this
that
logic,
wrong.
When your blood starts running hot.
By this logic, Fug, who is just a bunch of circles, also needs to be horned up to turn into a werebird.
Or does he have a
He
different
got,
trigger?
he got it from his daddy.
Oh no!
Fug's out there in the streets like,
You got it
We
follows.
got wear swallow lore. We got skeleton fart lore. These last couple episodes in Meyerfin have been really awakening.
the new app, Horny Birds.
Oh, great! I'm not going to comment on Fug.
I did like that the bats immediately reacted negatively to a werebird
100%.
erupting in front of them.
Yeah, that is the
Yes.
correct reaction. That is what you do.
I also loved the frog-hemoth chase through the forest.
so epic,
It
yeah.
made me feel like Attack on Titan.
Yeah, it felt like definitely like the team, like I think you brought up Naruto before. It definitely
Yes.
felt like a team ninja graduation thing that needed to happen. I loved that everybody was off doing their thing and getting to shoot other goblins on top of a frog behemoth, protecting Pecora. I think is a highlight for me as a player and for Tippy.
Yeah, I mean, you leaned into. I mean, it's almost like you needed permission to really let loose on those guns. Like, oh, the goblins are going to come back. Well, don't mind if I do. And just using two guns in both hands. Pecora and you back to back.
Right.
Just in a really great allyship.
Yeah.
That we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's kind of their first team up because he's sort of been just enamored by her, but they haven't really gotten to perform together because she was sort of the eyes in the sky during the heist, and they haven't gotten to do stuff together. And now it's like they're kind of a good team.
And also, I do really like, and I think that like Pakara will also appreciate that like, obviously Tippy is very protective over her, but I think seeing how well Pakara does for herself, this is the first time that Tippy's really seen what she brings to a battle. I think maybe Tippy can unclench a little bit, and that's going to help their relationship too. Now that he knows that, yes, of course, he's going to have that instinct to protect her, but she no wallflower.
Yeah.
Like she can't handle herself.
She has her own gun.
Yeah.
She has her own gun.
I did not think that, because originally I didn't think that you were going to say, oh yeah, don't worry, they'll heal all the goblins, because I just wrote down Tippy unloading the Clippy with a list of everyone he killed.
Tippy with the blicky.
Yeah.
The stakes were too high. I mean, you know.
Yeah, that's a me thing. Like sometimes you just don't. Like we just had the side of Aurelia. To me, I was like, this is gonna hurt me a little bit too much. And I know you can't. Look, I get to be the dungeon master, right? So I get to set the tone, and these goblins aren't going to die, and we can all just go to bed tonight, just feeling like a little
Even
bit
if I
better.
put a massive Tippy-sized bullet through their scalps.
I almost cast Enlarge on the Eldritch Cannon.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh!
Well, let's try that.
We're gonna save that for another day.
That is such a clutch move.
But then I was like, this might be overkill.
Yeah.
I was going to do it on either the cannon or
Oh,
Loof.
that's overkill. Not
in the dungeon?
all of the things we
not
just
a cave-in,
horrible
not
goblins.
a cave-in followed by webbing, followed by acid, followed by fire, followed by bullets.
It is one of those like if you were all non-casters, which you're not, so you would be less squishy. But in building a dungeon, it's like you're the exact people who the Overlord would want to build their dungeon.
Yeah.
Because you've got the smarts. You're also not in the heat of battle. You're the preparation, the pre-production of the actual dungeon delve.
Well, speaking of Overlord, I think we got to talk about
the
biggest reveal of the episode.
Oh, yes.
For a moment, I thought you were going to have the guest speaker, like to announce the winner, be Crandall. And I was about to be like, no, it cannot be Crandall.
I think I saw
magic missile.
Gosh, I think I saw in that moment from the side, because I was purposefully not making eye contact with any of you, but I think I saw my periphery, Dan, like your head sink, like you were so disappointed, like you just like had this moment.
Because that's when I had that possibility in mind. I'm
no.
like, it's going to be Crandall. Why else would he be up there?
Well, why else?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Then when I realized what was happening, my like jaw dropped open, just like, oh my god, it's happening.
It's happening. Yeah. What was that moment like for you?
That was like I mean, obviously we'll see it when we start the next episode, but I knew, because you don't drop that and then go, and now 5 more minutes of y'all being silly. Like that is the way that the episode is going to end. But it was definitely a thing of like, oh my God. It's like you just saw your favorite pop star, like you have all the magazines, you've been following their career since they were in a boy band, and then they broke out on their own,
This
and
is
now
so
maybe,
specific.
and now maybe, they're trying acting, and who knows if that's going to work out for them. But they're
Is
doing
it
different
Lance
things,
Bass?
and you're
Nick
proud
Lachey?
of them. No.
Circle?
Well, I mean, maybe Lance Bass. The eyebrows are curated enough that it could be a Lance Bass, but just it was very specifically that moment of this person has taken up so many different roles in each of our lives, because we didn't have that, like between our worship and our adoration and the paternal role, that it's like staring into the sun, except we're his sons.
Yeah, for me it was like a bittersweet moment. Well, not bittersweet, but it's conflicting, right? Because I think this gauntlet has really reminded Tippy his worth and really what Tippy was trying to get back this whole time, which is his confidence from after he got murked by the Scythe of Aurelia. So he got it all back, and he emerges a champion, but now his boss is back. And he had spent so much time trying to not be noticed by Unzug and Unzug's lair, and now all eyes are on him. So I don't know how Tippy will react. It's gonna be dicey.
Yeah.
Cast a large cannon. I'm just kidding.
Very, very interesting.
Put him in my pocket.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool.
Episode 15 too. Not the end.
Yeah.
No.
How do you feel watching this sort of play? Like, did you ever see this sort of growth for these characters in this way, or like, how has it sort of affected you?
I just feel like I'm so lucky that I get to, work on this in between the stuff that you do, and just to see like what motivations are there. Obviously, I'm controlling what's going on in the background, but yeah, this was it's really cool. I never know how it's going to land. I figured that like, an Unzug announcement would really be a big deal to you.
Yeah.
As far as like who he's announcing, I was like, well, that is what we can see. But there's also another version where he doesn't make an appearance. So it's cool that it did work out, and here he is. And how do I feel? Really satisfied. I'm thrilled. I don't know. This is exciting to me. It's fun, so fun to build a playground that's just like, f around and find out.
Yeah.
I think we do plenty of that.
So much of that.
Not so much finding out.
Yeah, a lot of that first part. But
yeah.
and to Jason's point earlier, when you mentioned that, it does have that feeling of, I felt like we're doing well, and we're getting bigger, and we're moving forward, and we do have this life now. And now here's this thing to kind of, is this going to make us feel small again?
Yeah.
How are we going to process this? We have done so much growing. We've confronted our past selves in whatever way that presents itself. And now this is like the ultimate, thing from our past coming back to us. And how do we view him now through the eyes that we have after everything we've been through?
Yeah, I mean, even though we've escaped Unzug's lair, he has cast a shadow over the entire series and our characters since episode 1. Like, he was the defining commonality for all of us. And the only world we ever knew, to the point where we're still talking about dungeon dollars like 15 episodes later.
It's interesting because that was your it was a lot of your identity was Unzug, and now you've got like a lot more pieces of identity to pull from, not to mention different geographies that you know, different peoples that you know.
We've been to different planes of reality.
Yeah, it's like when you leave like your small town and like where people knew you there, and then you go out and you see the world and you visit the world, and then you come back and it's like, are they still gonna look at me the way that they did before I left and not see like my growth? Or are they going to acknowledge like who I am and what I've done since I left?
And to your question to me, like how it feels is just like, I mean, it's just like this game. I don't know. Like I didn't know that Picaro was going to be a little miffed. I didn't know until it happened. And yeah, it's like I don't know that you're going to win the championship. I don't know how Unzug. Well, we'll find out how Unzug reacts and all of that, or if he even remembers you. But
it's going to be like a La La Land Moonlight situation. I'm sorry, I meant Nerf Herflader. Nerg Herflader.
Nerg Herflader.
Nerf Herflader is the winner.
It's so good.
I think
it's delightful.
Nerg has got to come back.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, maybe Nerg, maybe Fug. Fug, I think, is a big...
Oh, no, we don't think we need Fug.
Big party favorite is Fug.
Unless we see him get horny and turn into a bird. I'm down with that. I would love to see that, actually.
Oh, those circles are turning into ovals.
Oh, whoa.
Ew.
There's 3 circles now, and one of them's growing.
This is a 3D. Young Jagger.
Young Jagger, R.I.P. Mugra Bumfa. Mudra
Bumfra.
Mudra Bumfra.
Mudra Bumfra.
Get it
Please
right.
have some respect for the dead, Amy.
Let me see. I'm gonna read these out. Okay. Krunger Munchstrom, Erky Floodgunk, Snargle Sledgepaw, Blip Slimegrim, Palba Slampers, Grib Snagglewort, Snickle Bogbottom. I don't think that I read that one. Juck Busflug, Numby Gumtrunk, Nurg Herfladurk, Young Jagger, Tibby Picara, Nagnug Yort, Rart Huffmamp, Clack Crustmunk, Lurt Nagaflab, Spizzy Bubblebutt, Skip Scap Scallywop, Droolington III, Chunkstifer Sinclair, Kruk Gunkwhistle, Blinks Mudmire, Zibber Swamp Spit, Bagmizzle Fummy Crust, Cudge Gloom, Went Cudge Gloom,
Gwent.
Gwent Fummy Crust, yes, Orborf. Oh, we never got to Orborf. Oops.
Oh, there's an Orborf. Our bad.
Well, here's some. Do you remember Orborf?
No, that's when a goblin eats its feet, right?
That'll be you've encountered the name Orborf before.
We have. Okay.
You've encountered the name Orborf before.
I remember Ordenth.
Yeah,
I don't
Ordenth
think
is
I know an Orborf, but I'll have to.
I'll have to look
Think
at
on
my
that.
insane notes. I'm going to fill up this notebook by the time the
Yeah,
campaign's
I
over.
think we can release a mini game called Goblin Bingo, where
Yeah, and Glomgen Mosspronk.
Goblin Boggle.
Goblin Bingo.
From a linguistic perspective, I just have to say that Rart Huffmamp is the most insane choice.
Yeah,
it's
it
fine.
is deranged.
There's not a single moment in there where it's pleasant for the mouth.
Rart
Rart Huffmamp.
Huffmamp. Yeah, it's horrible.
That was one I had to come up with right away.
My son is also named Rart.
There was one. I had a while. I don't know if I could do this now, but I have a friend who I don't know all that much about sports, and so they would be talking about hockey or basketball or football, and they'd be like, yeah. So Amy, like, who's your favorite football player? And I would just have to name a name, and
So you would be like Yort Hufflebump or whatever? That's my favorite football
I love
player.
Young Jagger,
Yeah, Nubby
BYU.
Gumtrunk.
It does very much feel like the NFL draft.
It does feel like the
Yeah,
NFL
it does
draft
feel
over here.
like that Key and Peele sketch.
Yeah.
But a little more goblin leaning.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to lean into as much goblin lore, goblin names, and some new Unzug lore as humanly possible in the next episode of Goblin Mode. So, folks, thank you so much for listening, tuning in, joining us for this deep dive into goblin etymology. We appreciate all of you joining us on this insane journey, and we can't wait to see what happens next on a brand new episode of Sagas of Sundry Goblin Mode on Geek and Sundry and wherever fine podcasts are served. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Young Jagger.
Oh my god.
Young Jagger.
Goblin sticks.
Rart Huffman.